Today's topic of discussion is HDL Design Part 4. Objective of this lecture is to make the student familiarize with VHDL features. What is VHDL? It is a very high speed integrated circuits hardware description language. The initials of this are taken as V, that is very, H, that is hardware, D as description, and L as language, and it is denoted as VHDL. The digital system design using the hardware description language is an established methodology in EDA. EDA is electronic design automation. So in this VHDL language, the it is a hardware description language in which the software coding language is used to model the intended operation of a piece of a hardware. So any hardware we can describe with the help of this VHDL language, and there are two aspects to the description of hardware that an HDL facilitates. The first one is abstract behavior modeling and the second one is hardware structure modeling. A hardware description language is declarative in order to facilitate the abstract description of hardware behavior for specific purpose. This behavior is not influenced by structural or design aspect of the hardware intent. The second one is hardware structure modeling. Hardware structure is capable of being modeled in a hardware description language irrespective of design's behavior. So either we can do the modeling with the help of abstract behavior, what is the behavior of the system, as per that we can do the modeling, and second one is as per the hardware structure we can do the modeling. So both are possible with the help of this VHDL. Now we'll see the features of this VHDL. This VHDL is an amalgamation of following languages. So we find the combination of concurrent language, sequential language, timing specification, simulation language, and the test language. So all these features are combinedly available in VHDL. So one by one we'll see the details of this. VHDL has got the powerful language construct like we have if, else, with, select. So whatever statements are available in higher level languages like C and C++, these constructs are also available in VHDL. The design hierarchies to create the modular design is also possible. It supports the design libraries and facilitates the device independent design and portability. The first feature is it is a concurrent language. The concurrent statements execute at the same time in a parallel hardware. So just like in a hardware, if you will apply the inputs to some hardware, like for example here it is shown as A, B are the inputs for the first block, adder block, and the output of first adder is acting as the input to the second. At the same time, one more C input is applied to that. So once all these three inputs are provided in a hardware, parallelly or concurrently it will be executed. In the same fashion, if we will write two statements in this VHDL language, that this Z, that is the final output, is assigned a value C plus X and this X is assigned a value A plus B. So concurrently means at the same time both the statements will be executed. The next feature is it is a sequential language. The sequential statements execute one at a time in a sequence, one by one. So as the case with any conventional programming language, the sequence of statement is important. So if you want to execute that Z statement first, then write it first and then write the X statement. If you want the reverse sequence, then it is the sequence of statements are also to be changed. So the sequence of statements is important because it is a sequential language. Now the third feature is timing specifications can be provided. So providing timing attributes in a sequential digital design is of prime importance since the operations are synchronized in a common clock. For example, you can see one waveform is generated over here by writing some VHDL code. So this waveform may act as some stimulus to some circuit. So while preparing or while generating this waveform, one time reference will be taken, that is the 0 nanoseconds. From this point onward, whatever sequences or events will happen in this particular waveform, those will be considered with respect to the starting time, that is 0 nanosecond. So if you'll see the clock generation process, clock is assigned a value 0. So this is 0 and we have to wait for 20 nanoseconds. So this 0 value will remain there till next 20 nanosecond. Then clock is assigned a value 1. So clock is made 1 and again wait for 12 nanoseconds. So we'll wait for 12 nanosecond and if you'll see the time which is coming over here on the time axis, that is 32. So now this 32, how it is come? First 20 nanosecond 0 and then next 12 nanosecond logic 1. So totally become 20 plus 12 is 32 and this timing is taken with respect to this starting point, that is 0 nanosecond. So the timing attribute is provided which is the essential thing for the sequential digital design. Then the next feature is the simulation language. For analyzing the digital design, it is important that the design be simulated. Means we should be able to check the functionality of the design which we enter. Simulation has different flavors. The functional simulation, post-synthesis simulation, post-layout simulation. So, and these simulations we can perform at different levels of abstraction. Like just by entering the design, we can check the functional simulation and then once the design is entered, it is simulated and then the target device is fixed, we can do the synthesis. After synthesis also we can do the simulation and then after preparing the layouts also simulation is possible. So at different levels the simulation is possible. Any HDL should thus be equipped with simulation capability for verification and troubleshooting purposes and this facility is available with VHDL. The next feature of VHDL is it is a test language. So test bench it is a part of VHDL module that generates a set of test vectors and send them to the module being tested. So whatever piece of a VHDL code you will write, that to that VHDL code we can apply some set of inputs, that is the test vectors, and then it collects the responses generated by the module under test and compares them against a specification of correct result. So we'll check the response and we will verify whether it is as per the requirement of the user or not. Thus, test bench is required to ensure that the design is correct and that the module is operating as desired. So all these 5 features are available with VHDL, that is it is a concurrent language. So statements can be executed at once. It is also a sequential language. So as per our requirement, we can give a particular sequence for the statements and then they will be executed one by one. Timing specifications can be provided which are of very important for the sequential circuits. It is a simulation language, so we can simulate the things, and it is also a test language. We can write a test bench using this VHDL language and we can test the circuit. So how to use this test bench for testing the circuit, that is shown in this diagram. It is equivalent to the mechanical test jig used for testing the functionality of mass produced PCBs, as in, for example in TV sets or in motherboards. So we have this at the center, we have this module under test. That is nothing but the piece of a VHDL code. Like for example, here it is abc.vhd is one VHD file which is describing one of the system hardware. If you want to test the functionality of this, we need to apply some set of test inputs which are TST-A, TST-B and TST-C. So with the help of one test bench code, which is again a .vsd file, we can apply the set of inputs and then we can check the output of this, which can be compared with the standard reference, and we can check whether the unit under test is okay or not okay. So again, another important feature of this language is that it is having the design hierarchy. The hierarchy can be represented using VHDL. This is one example. A full adder, which is the top level module, being composed of 3 lower level modules. So this is the complete module, which is a full adder, and this full adder is consisting of these sub modules, that is one first half adder, second half adder, and one OR gate. So these are the sub modules, and then by combining these sub modules we can form this top level module, which is a full adder, which is having the inputs A, B and C in, and the outputs are sum and carry. So this design hierarchy simplifies the design procedure and manageability in case of complex designs. So in some of the circuits you may require such many full adders. So every time we need not to form the design based on the logic gates and all, we can form the entities like the half adder is one of the module, and then we can call it many times in our full adder. So this design hierarchy is also possible in this VHDL language. So we will see how to develop such modules and then how to call those modules in our program in the due course of time. Then we have the design libraries. The design unit, it is any block of VHDL code or the collection of VHDL code that may be independently analyzed and inserted into the design library. So what is this design library? It is a storage facility in which the analyzed VHDL descriptions are stored. So which are already analyzed, tested, the functionality is checked. So readily available such VHDL modules will be stored in one storage area, which is accessible by the other entities, and from there we can use that element which is acting just like a library, and then we are taking one component from that library as one of the element in our design. Then about the logic system which is used in VHDL. So we need a multi-valued logic system. So conventional logic system have only 3 values, that is logic 0, logic 1 and that Z. Z, what is that Z? Z is nothing but the high impedance state, which is in between the logic 0 and logic 1. But if you will consider the truth table of suppose AND gate, and this AND gate we have to implement in the hardware, and just in software we can test this AND gate by providing the 4 set of inputs, that is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. But in hardware there may be one condition in which one of the input is suppose high impedance. So what will be the output? So this condition is not resolved. So only these 3 values or 3 valued logic will not be sufficient for our hardware description language. So what is the solution? So the solution is we should have a logic system in which we have more than 3 values. So for this problem, a 9 valued logic system or package was developed, and that is called as STD Logic 1164, and it is accepted as the IEEE standard 1164-1993. So it is a multi-valued logic. So we have unknown as one of the logic state, that is value was known but not anymore. Uninitialized, that is value was never known. High impedance, net has no driver. Then the driver strength, handle different output drivers, and don't care, that is value is immaterial. So along with our logic high, logic low and high impedance, these other values are also possible to analyze. So that's why it is again a multi-valued logic, and there are such 9 values. Now we'll go to the level of abstraction. So different styles are adopted for writing the VHDL code. And the abstraction defines how much detail about the design is specified in a particular description. So whenever the VHDL code is written, whether it is just a behavioral type of description is written, or the description specifies the details of RTL at the register transfer level, the description is written, or at the logic level considering the logic gates, or at the layout level it is described. So based on this, there are four levels of abstraction, that is layout level, logic level, register transfer level, and the behavioral level. So one by one we will see these levels of abstraction. So we'll start with the first, that is layout. So this is the lowest level of abstraction and describes the CMOS layout level design on a silicon. So on the silicon wafer, how the different layers are drawn, what are the different widths and lengths of those layers, what is the doping concentration, all these details are involved in this layout level abstraction. So this is the lowest level. The second level of abstraction is logic level. Design has the information about function, architecture, technology, and the detailed timings. The layout information and the analog effects are ignored. So if we'll go to the second level of abstraction, that is the logic level, here the layout details are not considered. Only the function, architecture, technology, and the timing details are considered. Now the next level of abstraction is that is RTL, register transfer level. Using the HDL, every register in the design and the logic in between is defined, and the design contains architecture information. There are no details of technology and no specifications of absolute timing delay. So only at the register level the design abstraction is, or the design description is written. The details of technology or the timing delays and that is not considered in this type of level of abstraction. So this is the next level of abstraction. And the last level is behavioral level, describing the function of a design using HDL without specifying the architecture of register, and contains timing information required to represent a function. So this is the highest level of abstraction, and generally we will be writing the code considering only behavioral level. How the circuit will behave, that is written with the help of a HDL code. So here we need not to go into much details of the technology, the layout details and all, because that is much difficult if we'll go from this higher level of abstraction to the lower level of abstraction. So we will be writing the HDL codes considering the behavior of the circuit. So the basic building blocks of the VHDL code. So how the code is designed. A VHDL design is composed of the following blocks. There are four blocks. Library declaration. This is the first part of the VHDL code. Then entity declaration, architecture, and the configuration. In the entity part of this code, we will be writing only the inputs and outputs. Those are called as the ports. So input ports and output ports will be declared in the entity. In the architecture, we will be writing the behavior of the circuit, how the circuit will behave, just like the description of the truth table of a particular circuit. And then the configuration, again the further details about that will be written in that. Thank you.